All right, so let's get the flow of the Maamar, and then we'll look at the sheet, which will help us give us a grid upon which to put all the words of the Maamar. So the flow of the Maamar is this. He explained that Hadasah hi Esther. Yeah, we go. I'm just gonna. You guys put yourself on mute, and if you want to say something, then you unmute yourself. It's hard for me to do. I guess. Okay. So Hadasah is Esther. He explained this is Malchus. Why are there two names? Because there's Malchus, the way Malchus is in Atzilus, united with the Hadas. The Hadas is a myrtle branch, and what is its identifying mark? That it has what? 3 leaves that plate literally the stem. They overlap. The 3 leaves come from one place. That's a reference to the main midas of Atzilus, of the Ovis, which is Chagaz, Chesed Gevurah Tiferes. Hadasah, that's feminine, is Malchus, as Malchus is connected with the Hadas, with Atzilus. Esther, which means concealment, we brought the Gemara to explain the meaning of Esther. Two explanations, actually. One explanation is Esther is in the Torah, where Hashem says, I will hide my face. V'anochi hastir astir. The other explanation is that the Ummah Olam called her Esther because she was as beautiful as the moon. I didn't point this out, but it's obvious the moon has no light of its own, Makabel. So that's the connection to Esther, meaning Malchus, as Malchus descends into Bia. Then Malchus is called Esther. To understand that, he said first you have a number of introductions. So it's only one big introduction. But you want to understand Ponim and Ocher on all of the levels. Eirin Sof, Ishtalshalus, and Neshamas Yisrael. Ponai. Anochi hastir astires Ponai. What's the meaning of Ponai, of Panim? Panim implies there's another level that's not Panim. That's outer, that's external. So what is that in Ishtalshalus? So in Ishtalshalus, in Eirin Sof, rather than the big picture, it's very simply. Panim is hiding Ishtalshalus. And Ishtalshalus is yeshiva, is sitting, is tzimtzum, is explained. Moishe v'lochim lakise, v'yeshiv Hashem alech l'yolam. How does one sit? It's one's exterior descends. That's how you sit. And Ocher is Ishtalshalus. External. And that's why he concluded the Ois by saying, we must have a reason why there's Ishtalshalus. What's it for? It's for Bishvil Yisrael, Breishis, Borel, Kimbas, Hashemayim, Vesa'aretz, Bishvil Yisrael, Bishvil Torah, Ishtalshalus itself is Hashem's external will. External will means, again, in one word, anybody? External will as opposed to internal will, which is Panim and Ochel, which we're talking about here. External will means
a means to a way.
Right. So one's engaged in something willingly and very decidedly and purposefully. However, it's all a means for an end. It's a critical means, but it's a means. Whereas Panim is the Panimius. So that's in Eirin Sof, the Panim is Lamaylim Ishtalshalus, and Ocher Chitzonius would be Hashem's expression in Ishtalshalus. In Ishtalshalus itself, no. Before we go further, as we point out many times, we need to understand this, otherwise it's all very confusing, and that is that everything, all the divine revelations are integrated and reflective of each other. Every levels within every level is absolute unity, because it's God revealing himself, and God is one. And therefore, whatever construct, whatever dynamic exists on one level, it exists also the same on another, and on another, on every level. All to say, therefore, that Ponim ve'ocher exists on all of the levels of divine revelation. We just spoke in the broadest picture possible, Haydn Ishtarshalas. But the same principles, the same essential truth is reflected also in Ishtarshalas. And that's the next paragraph of Vay's base. And that is Atzilus and Biyah. Atzilus is the Pnim, and Biyah is external. He brought from the Ramez that the four madregas of of Ponim, which means really going forward, facing, forward, Yamin, right, smile, left, Ocher, back. The Dalad Olam is. Ponim is Atzilus. Yamin is Bria. Smile is Yitzira, and Asiya is the hinder. Ocher behind the last level. So what the Senzi points out from Atzilus to Biyah is Malchus, and Malchus again is Ashpola, is Yashvus. The whole nature of, or the integral to the definition of the king is sitting upon his throne. That's the Esther component of Malchus. And that creates these lower levels of Yamin Smoil and finally Ocher. Okay, then begins Oiz Gimel. So let me tell you, we're going to look at our sheet. Oiz Gimel deals now with Neshamas Yisrael. Neshamas Yisrael also have Pnimius and Chetzonius. What's the pasuk he quotes at the very beginning? Have a look at it. Oiz Gimel. Tell me the simple meaning of the pasuk and how Chassidus uses the pasuk. It's the third line of Oiz Gimel. It's a pasuk in Tilim, Kapitel Kuf Lamedes, pasuk Hey. The pasuk says, Acher v'kedem tzatani. Simple meaning, pasuk pshat. I told you yesterday, okay. Well, 2 days ago, maybe. Simple meaning is that you protect me both behind and in front. The deeper meaning, Meloshin Tsura. You have formed me with a external and internal dimension. Clear? Now the Maamar goes on to explain these two dimensions as they exist within the Neshamas Yisrael. Now let's consult our, what is it? Our chart. Is it a chart? That's what you call it? Okay. It's based on the statement in h'tchk, which appears, everybody reads, I hope, the script. Yes. h'tchk, which appears at the bottom of the page. h'tchk, who wrote h'tchk? Rabbi Chaim Vital. Who is Rabbi Chaim Vital? The main Tam of the Arizal, who wrote the Arizal's teachings. The Arizal didn't write. And the teachings are voluminous. Let's look at the Torah of the Arizal. It's a whole library. So the h'tchk writes, and this is all to explain this statement. Yesh nitzutz koten ba'oi, there's a small spark. Shualikus mamesh, that it's mamesh, the divine. Mimadrege tachtoin shebebeir, it's the lowest level of the Creator. Now, I'm not explaining every word here, but the general idea. The summary of that statement is there is a small, absolutely elikus mamish divine spark. Yeah? Vihi mislabeshes bekoach nitzutz echad nivra. And this divine spark is invested in the depth, koach means the potential, perhaps, of a small created spark. It's not a likus mamish. It's a likus, but not a likus mamish. Because this the shift from created to created. Hanikra yechida. That's called yechida. Now, right here, dear friends, we could put this on the paper. You tell me, what's the pnim and what's the ocher in this statement about Neshamas Yisrael? The pnim is the nitzitz echad boire, and the chitzonius begins with yechida, and certainly the levels below that, the 5 levels of the neshama. But what is this level of nitzitz echad boire that is the pnim of Neshamas Yisrael, or the etzem of Neshamas Yisrael? So I want you to look at, look where I'm pointing here, where it says l'chayra omnam and ba'omek yos. It's in a different color. It's in the bluish green. Yeah. So the Rebbe traces 3 levels. L'chayra, that would be level A. You can see it's quite low. You just look graphically at this. Omnam, however, no, it's not. The nitzitz cotton boire is a higher level. Ba'omek yos are higher still. That's where he's going in these Gimel, Daled, and Hey. That's what he's out to explain. Is that clear, baby? To get this very clear before we go further. Now, as we mentioned yesterday, important to appreciate? What's the Rebbe doing here in this Maimon, this Purim Maimon? It is what it is. And what this whole discussion of what exactly the nitzitz cotton boire is. So it's all 3 levels. It's just going deeper and deeper and deeper. And the point of the Maimer, point of Chassidus, and this Maimer of Purim Toshem Chot Daled, the Rebbe is megala this, the deeper and deeper levels of Neshamas Yisrael within every Jew. That's what the Maimer does. That's what Torah does. Torah is the template that defines reality. Holy reality and unholy reality. Neshamas Yisrael, everything. So when the Rebbe says in a Maimer, an Inyan, he's revealing it and establishing it. So a Maimer is not just a new insight, it's a new revelation of a likus. That's what a Maimer is. In general, at tzaddik, everything the tzaddik does is an expression of godliness. But the Maimer, and especially when we're speaking about the Eibishter and the Shomas, so here we're revealing the Pnimish of the Pnimius. So again, you can see the pattern, the ascending order from the L'cha'ira, it would appear. Omnam, however, he says in the next paragraph, it's really higher than that. And Ba'emek Yoser, in greater depth, higher still. Now, let's look at understand what he's saying. So the right-hand side, the right column, quoting from the Shar HaKadusha to Rabbi Chaim Vital, again, from the Arizal, basically. So the discussion there is Adam Kadman. Why are we talking about Adam Kadman? Because Adam Kadman is the highest level, period, post-Tzimtzum. As we mentioned yesterday, overall, as explained in Chassidus, overall, generally, in the broadest sense, Adam Kadman is the level where God articulates for the first time, there's no time, but just using this language, his desire for creation. Ana emloich, it's my desire to be king. So what are the levels in Adam Kadman? Now the emphasis I write at the top, there's Pnimius Adam Kadman, Atik the Adam Kadman. This is introduced in the Maim a little bit later, but it has to be on the chart now just for purposes of clarity. Okay, so we'll see it as we learn the Maim, but he mentions it later when he comes to the Oimek Yosef, third level of explaining third approach, the third articulation of what the h'tשכ and Vayehi is. Okay, but leave that aside now. Let's just go down this column, identifying the levels within Adam Kadmon. So there's the pnimius of Adam Kadmon, and that's called, I put it in quotations, Atik Adam Kadmon, because Atik, classically, is a level of Kesed that appears above Atzilus. That's what we first speak about, Atik and Arich. But everything is integrated. There's also the relative Kesed above Adam Kadmon. And the Arich is Adam Kadmon classically. But let's not get too complicated. So the Pnimius of Adam Kadmon is the Atik, analogous to the Atik of, which is always the Pnimius, the essence of the Kesed, the crown, atop Atzilus, as it were. Then, classic Adam Kadmon is the level of Oir Machzev Asfiris, a revelation from which the Sfiris are hewn. The Sfiris, very sublime level of the 10 Sfiris, are articulated there. A lower level, there's a lavush, there's a garment for the Sfiris.
Would you venture to say that the second level is Arich of Ak? I know he doesn't mention it. I don't know if he mentions it.
I just said it a minute ago. Overall, it does power.
Arich?
It does.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the level we spoke. Pnimius is the pnimius. It's not overt. The overt level of Adam Kadmon is that the definition is it's the Oir Machzev Asfiris. It's literally the light hewn from which the Sfiris are hewn. As I said, let's put this in simple English. I'm a Gil student, obviously doesn't know what you're talking about. Either does the Talmud Chacham, that's Baki and Shas, is trying to understand what we're talking about. So the Rotzen, the will for Ano Emlech, is the source for which all the Sfiris will then emerge. For Ano Emlech, you need Ishtalshalos and a system and everything else. Clear? That's to simply translate the Oir, the light from which the Sfiris are hewn. What's this light? The Eibishter's expressed desire to be king over Neshamas Yisrael in Gufim, Gufais Lamata, and that gives rise to a Mata and a Maila, and hence Sfiris. Sfiris create higher and lower. Numbers, for God's sakes. 1, 2, 3, higher, lower. Yeah, the Sfiris. Then there's the Lavush. The garment, as it were, to this sublime level of Sfiris, that's where the Neshamas are hewn from. Oir Machzev HaNeshamas. That's the lower level. And this level is described by the h'tשכ as a lavush to the Sfiris. Okay, so far, so good. We're just looking at the h'tשכ. Then he says,
by the way, why are you mentioning only the h'tשכ and not the Pasach?
I mean the Shara Kedusha. We're talking about, we're analyzing the Shara Kedusha, Adam Kadmon. Then he quotes from Pasach Eliyahu the Zohar, where there we say, we're going to say tonight, that they wish to establish Levushim, from where the Neshamas descend into Gufim. That's the bottom. Pasach Eliyahu, it's in another color because it's a different source. It says 3 sources within the Shara Kedusha and h'tשכ and the Pasach Eliyahu. And then the Neshamas Parchin, the Neshamas fly or are issued to or descend the Bnei Nosha to people in Gufim from the Levushim of Adam Kadmon. The Kinnis Lein Levushim, we have established their Levushim in Adam Kadmon. Yeah? Clear? Now the Hasbara, explanation of all of this, as we learned the Maamar, it's the mechanics of the geography. So just quickly going through the next grid, the l'cha'ira. That's how these paragraphs begin. These omnam and then ba'omek yoysa. So l'cha'ira, what's the nitzutz cotton beire, the prim of the neshama? That is the level that the Shar HaKdusha says the oir machzav neshamas. That's pnim. What's the acher? The acher is the levels of yechida and so on that descend from there. So what's the etzem of the neshama? It's Adam Kadman, and what level? The levush of Adam Kadman. That's the pnim. That's the nitzutz beire cotton, because this is all a likus. It's all the Eibush expressing himself. This is in the words of the Yitzchaim. Yesh nitzutz cotton ma'id shal likus mamish madreget achtoinish bebeire. That's Adam Kadman, and what's the madreget achtoinish? That's the levush in Adam Kadman, and it's from there that what? That's the etzim, the primis of the neshamas. Then he says in the next paragraph, omnam, and we'll learn why. I think we learned it already. Did we? Don't know. We'll learn it again. Omnam, however, we cannot say that. Rabbi rejects that. You cannot say that the nitzutz cotton beide that the Eitz Chaim speaks of is the levush of Ak. Levush, by definition, means chitzonius. So therefore, he ups the ante, as it were, and says no. That the nitzutz cotton beide, the pnim, that's the sviris of Ak. The oy machtzev sviris. And Yechida, the names, Chamisha, Shemus, Nikrullah, she has 5 names. That begins where? That parallels the level of the levushim. So we say oy machtzev neshamas. That's referring to not the essence of the neshamas, but the level of the neshamas that has a name, Yechida, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh. We're not giving explanation. We did a little bit because we said the levush is a levush. But that's what he says where? In the omnam. Then he adds a paragraph, ba'omek yoyse. No. Ba'omek yoyse, this is the tremendous chiddush of the Maimer, that the nitzutz cotton beire, the pnim, is not classic Ak itself. But, as you can see in the chart, not the Sviris of Ak, but the Pnimius of Ak, Atik the Ak. That's the Nitzutz cotton beire. And Yechida, the names, that parallels the Sviris, etc., going down the line. Are the mechanics clear? You can see how we're going up the grid. Yeah, pretty clear. Then we'll just look at this now. Again, the Hasbara we'll see in the Maimer, but otherwise we get lost in all the words. We don't know where he's going. So the next 2 columns, again, it's also to explain Ponim and Acher. So the parallel, after explaining how it is in Adam Kadmon, this primordial level, and the way it is in the Shamas, then the same picture emerges Abiyad Klolus and Hishtalshalos, as we the detailed Hishtalshalos Abiyad Protas. To refresh your memory, we learned this many times. Abiyad Klolus in general. What's Atzilis the Klolus? It's going down the line. Atik the Bria. Huh? No, this is no. It's no. This is the. No, not Atik the Bria. This is really the Oirin Sof. The Oirin Sof. Atik is it's a Pnimius Atik. It should be Atik the Ak. Should be Atik the Ak. Okay, we'll fix that. Now I got that in. That got in. Bria Klolus is Adam Kadman. Yitzira Klolus is Keser of Atzilus. And Asiya Klolus is Atzilus. Yeah? Maybe it could be Loshen HaMaimed. I think of the Klolus Abriya. I don't know. Maybe. To see inside where that word come from. Is that understood? Atzilus the Klolus is Eir Ein Sof, specifically Atik of Ak. Paralleling. Bria, the Klolus is Adam Kadman. You see the Klolus is Keser of Atzilus, and Asiya is Atzilus. So the parallel here is in Abiyad the Klolus, that what's the Pnimius? In Abiyad the Klolus, the first level is the level of Pnimius. The rest is all levels of Acher. And then that's reflected in Ishtalshalus itself, in detail, as he said, from the Ramez, that Ponim is Atzilus. Why is Atzilus Pnimius? Because the Ikar of Atzilus is Chachma. And even though there's 10 Sviras there, even including Malchus, it's all dominated by Chachma. And Chachma, he says in Perek Lamed in Tanya, is Bittul and a Keli for the Eir Ein Sof. So therefore, Atzilus is the in the Ishtalshalus go for the emes Pnimius. What dominates Bria is already Bina. That's already starts the world of Chitzonius. What dominates Yitzira is Zoh Midas. What dominates Asi is Malchus. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to read to the page, fix that Bria, and add these two words here. I can't write it again, for God's sakes. We'll just... I don't have any whiteout. We'll try and find some. Somebody has to have. No one use it anymore because these computers. Okay, so because this is all together, swear Malchus, Esther. There's Malchus the way there's not Atzilus, that's Pnim. Why? Because all of Atzilus is Chachma, is Bittul. And then Malchus, as it descends into Bria, it's already levels of defined levels, not Bittul. Bin is not Bittul. Bin is analysis, and certainly Midas, and certainly action. The parallel within the person. These are all Chitzonius levels, Lagabe Atzilus. Okay, so this is a general overview. Now we're ready to learn the Maimon, God willing, on Monday. Okay, so we're going to fix that. I'll take the Bria and add a little bit more to the last two columns. All right, friends. Good morning, David.
Morning. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, this is a 2-hour work because since it's written, handwritten, I had to redo it many times till I finally fleshed it out. Maybe it wasn't 2 hours, an hour and a half. Sometimes you do a spelling mistake for the whole thing. That thing again.
And you start with a pencil at least.
All right, no, the main problem was I didn't leave enough room, but didn't know where I was going exactly, so to rewrite it, so it's all on the page. How much each box needs. Okay, Yidden Beis Hashem will continue on Monday.